Hello guys, I hope all are healthy and wish you a happy new year 2021. And I hope this year brings all the humanity peace and health around the globe. As I promised, I have created this video to provide some basics but really important to know information about the Electoral College, which has a significant role in the presidential election in the United States. Before we start talking about the Electoral College, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button under this video and smash the bell to receive notifications for my future videos. Okay, so Electoral College. What is Electoral College? Everyone is talking about Electoral College and their votes and the result of Electoral College, but actually, what is Electoral College? Is it a physical place like a college? No. Electoral College is not a place, but this is a process. Electoral College is a process, and this process is the fourth step of the presidential election overall process. So Electoral College is the fourth step in the presidential election process and happens after the general election. So the overall election process, there are four steps like national conventions, primaries and caucuses, general election, and the Electoral College. So if you want to have more information about these three previous steps, please watch my previous video about the election and general election. Okay, so we say this is the fourth step. Now, let's say what the Electoral College process consists of. The Electoral College process consists of three main steps within it. The first one, selection of the electors. So the electors are going to be selected by the parties of the presidential candidate in their respective states. And the second step of the process is meeting of the electors, where they vote for the president and vice president. And the last step is counting of the electoral votes by Congress. So be ready for all of these steps to know about. Okay, so we talked about the electors to be selected, or the selection of the electors by each parties in the respective states. So in total, how many electors are there and how they are distributed among the states? In total, the Electoral College consists of 538 electors, and majority of 270 electoral votes is required to elect the president. For example, your state has the same number of electors as it does members in the congressional delegation. It means one for each member in the House of Representatives plus 2 senators. Now, if you look at this map, there are different states and different numbers and marked with different numbers. For example, let's see California here. California has 55 electoral votes. It means out of these 55, 53 are for the members in the House and 2 are for the Senate, because it doesn't matter how big your state is, how many congressional districts it has, all of the states has the same number of senators in the Senate, and that's 2. So for example, let's say Florida has 29. So out of 29, 2 are for senators and 27 are for the members in the House. So again, in total there are 538 electors in all the states in total. Now, if you look at this table shows the number of electors. It's somehow the same as my previous slide, which is the electoral map with the number of electoral votes in each state, but this is as a table, so for the ease of use you can look at this table, and also the table down here. You can look at this table and find your state and see how many electoral votes are there in your state or any state that you want to know about. Okay, now as we said, the electoral votes happens after the general election, or the electoral college happens after the general election. So let's see what happens in the general election and why should I vote. Okay, the general election is held every 4 years on Tuesday of the first Monday in the month of November. During the general election, every eligible citizen is casting their votes. When they vote for a presidential candidate, they actually vote for the candidate's preferred electors. What does it mean? If you remember, I just talked about the electors which are selected by the parties of the candidate in those respective states. So when you're casting your votes for your candidate, actually you're voting for those electors. So when the general election is done, then what we do? Okay, now this is the place where the Electoral College step in after the general election. We saw the very first map of the process. So what happens after the general election? Okay, when we casted our votes in the general election, then in the Electoral College happens two things. One, the electors meeting and preparation of certificate of vote. Okay, so the electors and their winning states, their meeting takes place on the first Monday after the second Wednesday in the December after the general election. So for the election 2020, it was 14th December 2020. So the winning electors meet in their respective states where they cast their votes for president and vice president on separate ballots. Means your state electors' votes are recorded on a certificate of vote. So certificate of vote is a certificate prepared by the electors during the meeting, and they record all the votes in the certificate. Later on, the certificate is sent to Congress for counting, and the Congress will count these votes based on these certificates. Okay, so this is what happens after the general election through the Electoral College process. But one thing to remember, that most of the states require that all electoral votes go to the candidate who received the most popular votes in the state. So it means if the blue party received the most popular votes, so the electorals will cast their votes to the candidate of the red colored party, blue colored party. Or if in any state the red party received the most popular votes, then the electors in that state will cast their votes to the red color party. But one thing, as I mentioned, most of the states require, but not all of them. That's why there were occasions where candidates received most popular votes but lost the election. And I will come up to this one later on. But remember this one, there were 5 occasions, and I will come back with a little bit more details on this one. Okay, the other thing that we should know, electors cannot vote for a presidential and vice presidential candidates who both hail from an elector's home state. What does it mean? It means, okay, when the presidential candidate and the vice presidential candidate, they both hail from, let's say, New York, then the electors in the New York state, they cannot vote for both of them. They should vote only for one of them, either the presidential candidate or the vice presidential candidate. But this is not the case for other states. For example, if both candidates are from New York, but the electors in, let's say, in Delaware, in Virginia, Maryland, or other states, they can vote for both of them. But only the electors from the home state, they have to cast their vote for one of them, either the presidential candidate or the vice presidential candidate. And this had a main reason for this, and it needs a lot of discussion. So it's enough to know only that the electors from the home state will cast their votes for one of them if both candidates are from the same state. Okay, so the certificate of vote is prepared and is sent to Congress. Then what happens? So they count the Electoral College votes. So how they vote and how they are counted, how they vote, we knew that one, and now how the votes are going to be counted, we will look at here. Okay, the Congress meet in a joint session every 4 years on January 6th at 1 p.m. That means today is January 6th, and today the Congress will have a joint session to count the votes. Why they have a joint session? To tally the votes in the Electoral College. And the sitting vice president chairs the meeting and opens the vote from each state in alphabetical order. Then, after he opened the votes, he passes the votes to 4 tellers. Okay, who are these tellers? The group of 4 tellers are the people who are actually and physically counting the votes, and they are selected by the speaker. And who are these 4? Okay, 2 are from the House and 2 are from the Senate, and there is 1 from each party. That means from the House of Representatives there are 2, 1 from Democrat and the other from Republicans party, and the same in the Senate. So when they count the votes at the end of the count, and also they announce when the tellers counting the votes, they announce the winner in each state, and at the final stage, at the end of the count, the vice president then announces the name of the next president. And this is what will happen this afternoon, and let's see what's going on, what will be the result. So if you see this picture here, this is counting the electoral votes from, I think it is from 1913, February 12th, 1913. This is the electoral count, and the picture is taken. Okay, now you remember I talked about the 5 occasions that the candidates won popular votes but lost the election. Okay, let's see what those 5 occasions were. In 1824, Andrew Jackson, he lost for John Quincy Adams. In 1876, Samuel Tilden, he lost to Rutherford. In 1888, Grover Cleveland, he lost to Benjamin Harrison. In 2000, Al Gore lost to George W. Bush. And in 2016, Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump. However, Andrew Jackson, Samuel Tilden, Grover Cleveland, Al Gore, and Hillary Clinton, they received the most popular votes, but they lost the election. So why? And this is because they did not receive 270 electoral votes from the Electoral College. So here we can see how important Electoral College votes are. Okay, so this was all about the Electoral College and its processes. Let's see, today is January 6th, 2021, and the Congress will count the electors' votes and announces the president. Everyone is really excited to see the result and how the Electoral College votes will end the election process for 2020 presidential election. So stay tuned, look at the news. Okay, thank you for watching, and please write your comments and thoughts about this video and the electoral votes for 2020 election. And please wear a mask and keep social distancing. Bye and have a great time. Thank you.